Okay, so students, good morning students. So now let's move to the next, that is total utility and marginal utility differences. Okay, so we had covered previously concepts of utility and the relation between total utility and marginal utility. Okay, so since we have finished total utility and marginal utility, we'll now just see what are the difference between total utility and marginal utility. Okay, so what is total utility? Total utility is the sum total. Sum means when you keep adding something of the individual utilities derived from the consumption of single unit. It is from the consumption of single unit of goods. Okay. Under marginal utility is the addition made to the total. One additional unit is added to the total that you have consumed. So it's the addition made to the total unit from every additional unit consumed. Okay, you have consumed few things. Okay, suppose you consume 10 mangoes, 10 apples, and one more is added. So whatever is derived from that 11th mango or apple, that is known as marginal utility. Total utility increases at a diminishing rate. Diminishing means very slowly it goes on increasing. Okay, but at a very slow rate. At the same time, marginal utility goes on diminishing. It goes on negative. If you have seen the previous lecture, you might understand from the table that the marginal utility goes on from 10, it goes to 8, then 6, then 4. Okay, so it goes on diminishing. This also increases at diminishing. This increases at diminishing rate. Okay, at point of satiety, TU is the highest. There is a point of satiety. Satiety is satisfaction. Total utility is highest at that point. Okay, at the point of satiety, marginal utility will be 0. Refer to the previous lecture, okay, to understand the diagram. And here, as you go on increasing the total utility, it will decline if the consumption, it declines if consumption continues. Okay, if someone goes on consuming the units, it will decline. Okay, this is 3 and this is 4. Okay, and here total utility, marginal utility becomes 0 if the consumption becomes what? Negative if the consumption continues. Okay. Okay, so these are the 4 differences. If you are able to locate more differences, do let me know in the comment section. Okay, so I have written only 4. Just find out if there are any more differences you can locate. Okay, so now let's move on to the next, that is law of diminishing marginal utility. First we have seen marginal utility and total utility. Now this is law of diminishing. Diminishing with what? Goes on decreasing. Diminishing marginal utility. Okay. Okay, this one was first proposed by Professor Gosen. This law was first discussed by Professor Gosen, and in detail it was discussed by Professor Alfred Marshall. So remember this name. In previous chapter also we had this name, Alfred Marshall. In his book Principles of Economics, published in 1890. His book is Principles of Economics. Principles of Economics. In this book, he has proposed the diminishing marginal utility. Okay. The law of diminishing marginal is universal in character. How is it universal? It can be applied to the whole universe. That's why. Okay, students. So now Let's move. What I explained now is just the law was first proposed, the diminishing marginal utility was first proposed by Professor Gosen, okay, but it was discussed in detail by Professor Alfred Marshall. So remember this name, in the previous chapter also we have heard this name, Alfred Marshall. In his book Principles of Economy, which was published in 1890, he has mentioned this diminishing law of marginal utility, okay. The law of diminishing marginal utility is universal in nature. What does universal means? Universal means it can be applied to anything in this universe. It is based on the common consumer behavior that utility derived diminishes with reduction in intensity of want. So as you go on consuming the things, okay, it diminishes. The marginal utility diminishes with the reduction in the, once your intensity to have that thing is less, the marginal utility diminishes. Okay, what is the statement of law? So statement of law, what the statement of law says, according to Professor Marshall, Alfred Marshall, other things remaining constant, the additional benefit which a person derives from a given increase in his stock of things diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has. Okay, so you need to learn this statement, because exam might have this law of diminishing marginal utility. You will have to write the statement of law. Statement of law is very important, so you have to write the exact words. Okay, and what is the meaning of that? The marginal utility that any consumer derives from successful unit of commodity goes on diminishing with his or her consumption of that commodity increases. Okay, once you go on consuming something more and more, the less you will want to have more of it. Okay, remember that in simple words. You have to explain the statement of law also after you gave the statement of law. So now let's move on to the assumptions. So first assumption is rationality. Consumer is assumed to be rational. Rational means what? He is behaving very normal and he tries to maximize his satisfaction. Okay, he is normal. At times we are not normal. We are sometimes miser, or sometimes we are very like the intensity is very high or something. So here it's assumed that he is rational and he behaves normally. Cardinal measurement. What does cardinal means? Cardinal means the law assumes that it can be measured numerically, can be cardinally or numerically measured. In numbers you can measure it. Hence mathematic operations are easily possible to know and compare the utility derived from each unit. Okay, so it's assumed that we can measure it in numbers. Next is homogeneity. Homo means what? Exactly everything is same in size, shape, color, taste. Units of the commodity consumed are exactly homogeneous or identical in size, shape, color and taste. So that is the meaning of homogeneity. Then comes continuity. Continuity means what? You continuously consume the commodity. There is no gap or time lapse of time in between. Okay. Then comes reasonability. Reasonability means they are reasonable in size. They are neither too big, too small. But in reality, it's not possible. So just remember, these are assumptions which in reality cannot be possible. Here, continuity, reasonability, reasonable size. Okay, they are neither too big nor too small. Constancy, constant. That is every consumer has constant. That is the income, habit, choice, likes, dislike. But in reality, it's not possible. Constancy. Marginal utility is money to be constant. Only the marginal utility for money is assumed to be constant. Otherwise, everyone has their own likes, dislikes. Then comes divisibility. The law assumes that the commodity consumed by consumer is divisible so that it can be acquired in small quantity. Divisible means you can divide it into smaller quantities. Okay. The last one is the single want. That a consumer given commodity can satisfy a single want of a person. One commodity satisfy one want of a person. The law assumes an experience of a single want which is completely satiable at a given point of time. Okay, this is what the law assumes. Okay, so since we have completed this diminishing marginal law and statement assumptions, we'll move on how the law of marginal utility looks like. Okay, so I'll draw a table over here. wherein there are units of commodity X and this is marginal utility. Units are like 1 to 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And marginal utility, since it goes on diminishing with increasing this 6, 4, 2, 0 and -2. So exactly you have the lines in your paper, so you will write everything correctly one after the other. Okay, so hope you are able to see this. That this shows, this is the table. Okay, these are units X and this is marginal utility. Since marginal utility goes on decreasing, it is written in the decreasing order: 10, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 0 and -2. Okay, so now how will you draw this on a table, on a graph? The table shows that the marginal utility keeps on diminishing with increase. Once you keep on increasing the units, at 1 unit you have 10 marginal utility. When you consume 2, there it is 8. When you consume 3 units, it's 6. When 4, it's 4. At 5, it's 2. At 6, the marginal utility becomes 0, and once you consume more of it, it becomes negative. Okay, so now this is x-axis, this is y-axis. Okay, so here this is commodity, here it will be 0, here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 will come. Okay, so this is a commodity X, this is commodity X and this is marginal utility. Okay, what is marginal utility? It starts from -2. So here I'll extend this. Here it is -2, then 0, then comes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so this is how it will come. So at 1 it is 10, at 1 it is 10, at 2 it is 8, at 3 it is 6, 4 it is 4, at 5 it is 2, okay, at 6 it is over here, and at 7 it is at -2 over here. Okay, so carefully you will have to draw the line. Okay, this is how you will write the draw the line. This is marginal utility. Okay, and how will you explain this diagram? So now you have the table, you have drawn the diagram, so you will have to explain the diagram after you draw this table. In the above in this diagram, the units of commodity X are measured on x-axis. Okay, on x-axis it's a commodity, units of commodity X, and on y-axis we are having marginal utility. It is measured on y-axis. Various points of marginal utilities are plotted on the graph as per the schedule. This is the schedule. As per the schedule, we have marked the marginal utility. When the locus of all points is joined, marginal utility. When the locus means what? When I draw the point, when I join those points, that are the locus. When I join the point of this locus of all the points is joined, mu is derived. It slopes downwards. If you see, from 10 it has come to -2. It slopes downwards from left to right. This is the left side and this is the right side. Okay, which shows that mu goes on diminishing with every successful increase in consumption. From the table also you will understand, as you consume more commodities, the mu goes on diminishing. When mu becomes 0, when it becomes 0 over here, mu curve intercepts the x. Intercepts means what? It crosses the line x, intercepts the x-axis. Further consumption brings disutility. When the marginal utility becomes 0, what it is called? Disutility. So once it crosses this, it brings disutility, which is shown over here below the x-axis. Okay, this is how you will have to explain the diagram. Okay, so now let's move on to the next thing, that is exceptions. These were the assumptions. So now let's move to the exceptions. What are the exceptions to the law of diminishing marginal utility? Okay, In exceptions is like, this is exception type. Exceptions. Don't write expectations, write exceptions. Be sure what you're writing. The spelling should be correct. Exceptions. Following exceptions, first is the hobbies. In certain hobbies like collection of stamps, coins, rare paintings, music, reading, the law does not hold true. Every additional increase in stock gives more pleasure. Okay, so if you have the habit of, or you have a hobby of collecting some coins, or you have the hobby of painting, the more you paint, the more pleasure you will get. This increases marginal utility. This increases marginal utility. But what does the law states? As you consume more and more, it goes on diminishing. But here for hobbies, it is an exception. It violates the law of homogeneity. Which law it violates? In homogeneity, what it was said, that everything is homogeneous, like the size, shape, color, taste is the same, and we consume it without any time lapse. But in this hobbies, it's not the case. Once you go on increasing your painting more and more, you get more pleasure. Miser. What does miser meaning of miser means conjuice. Okay, miser, every additional rupee, when you give 1 rupee to him, he is more and more satisfied. As you go on giving 1 rupee or 10 rupees, 100 rupees, he is, every additional rupee gives him more satisfaction. Marginal utility tends to increase with increase in the stock of money. The situation ignores the assumption here, the assumptions of rationality. Rationality means he is behaving normal. He is not behaving normally over here. Miser is never a normal person. Okay. Addictions. Addictions means what? The ones who consume liquor or have some drugs or something. The drunkard at the level of intoxication, once he goes on taking the liquor, okay, his level of intoxication increases with every additional liquor he consumes. His marginal utility may increase. Okay, his marginal utility increases with more and more liquor he consumes. Actually, it is only an illusion. Condition is similar to for all addictions. So whatever, if he is smoking, with more additional unit, he will get more and more marginal utility. It violates the law of rationality. These people are never rational. They are not in their senses. Okay, so it violates the law of rationality. Fourth is power. Power means what? Is exception to a person acquires power, his lust for power. Power means what? A person is a politician or is the head of some school, college, or he's a dean of a college. Okay, he's a professor, someone who is at the highest position. He desires to have more of it. You might have seen the politicians, once they go into politics, they need to have more and more power. Means like they have to go ahead for each position. Okay, this also violates the law of rationality. They are not normal, these people. They have the lust for power. That is why it violates the law of rationality. The last one is money. The money never becomes zero. Just remember that. MU never becomes zero for money. It increases with stock. Once you have more and more money, obviously you will want to have more of it, and your marginal utility will go on increasing. It will never diminish, because marginal utility states that with additional unit it goes on decreasing. But for money, that is not the case, because it is a medium of exchange which is used to satisfy, because this is the only thing for which you can buy things. It's the medium of exchange. However, according to economists, the law is applicable to money too. Example, marginal utility of money is more to people than the rich people. It is said that the marginal utility is more to the poor than to the rich, but I would say it is almost the same, because even the rich people want more money and even poor wants money. These exceptions are only apparent since they violate some of the assumptions, and they are not real as exceptions. Okay, you cannot say these are very real. They are just exceptions. Okay, so that was it today, students. So now in the next lecture we'll move to the criticisms of the law. Do let me know in the comment section any concept that you have not understood, you want me to explain again. Okay, and do like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching the video. Have a nice day. Bye.